The Impatient Turtle by Janette Oke.
Chapter 1. Beginnings.
Last one in is a rotten potato.
The shrill cry broke into the stillness, cutting the comfortable silence of the hazy, warm summer afternoon. I stirred from my drowsiness. I knew what the call meant. The rowdy boys were at the creek again and would soon be storming down the path to slide, jump, streak, or fall down the creek bank and throw themselves into what they called the swimming hole. I started for the creek, one slow step after another. Though I moved along with the rest of our neighborhood folk, it wasn't because I dreaded the thought of the boys in our area. I quite enjoyed the coming of the boys, though I did sometimes resent their interrupting my afternoon nap. Still, I didn't resent it for long. Their playful games and rambunctious spirits soon had me wide awake and longing to join in the fun. You wouldn't believe what those boys could do. They ran, they leaped, they dived, they swam, they swung, they pushed, they jumped, they somersaulted. They did everything imaginable on the bank, in the nearby oak tree, on various items they dragged or threw in with them, in the water, and even on one another's backs. What fun they had, and how I envied them. You see, a turtle isn't too agile, you might say. Oh, I can walk forward, slowly. I can even reverse, sort of. But I can't jump, I can't flip, I can't swing, I can't hop. So I carefully watched the boys, hoping to learn just how they did it. I knew by watching that it would be so much fun if only I could figure out just how it was done. I ambled on toward the water's edge, thinking deeply as I tried to hurry. I wasn't even out of the path when they came running, pushing one another, crowding and yelling. By some miracle, the tramping, scurrying feet missed me. I ducked my head into my shell for protection. Dust was kicked up in my face, and I squished my eyes tightly closed. It got up my nose, though, and made me sneeze a couple of times. Quiet little achoo that made me bump my head on my shell. I shook my head to clear it of the trail dust and continued down to the water. It seemed such a long way to go when one was in a hurry. I still had another 3 feet at least, and if I didn't hurry, I would miss seeing all the fun. A loud shriek stopped me mid-stride, and a flying boy went swishing over my head, his hands clinging desperately to a long rope. As he swung out over the water, he flung his hands wide apart and dropped with a huge splash. The other boys all cheered, and then another boy scrambled up, dripping wet, to grab the rope and take his turn. 2 other boys were playing with a log. I wasn't sure if they were trying to stay on or trying to get off, but they squealed and hollered and tipped and tramped, their feet traveling nowhere fast and their arms flailing the air. 2 other boys were playing with, or fighting over, a round rubber thing. They pushed and shoved and yelled at one another as they ducked under, sat upon, scrambled aboard, and fell off the strange round bouncy thing.
Wow!
It was my best friend Woodworth, better known as Woody.
Did you see that?
What?
The way he slid down the steep bank on that flat thing and scooted right into the water.
I had missed it, and I felt cheated somehow. There was so much to see that you could never see it all. I was watching the fellow on the rope. Where's the guy with the slide?
Over there on the far side, right there by that willow tree on that steep slope.
I turned my eyes to the slope now just in time to see the boy climbing aboard the flat thing again and settling himself down. Then with a hard push with both of his legs, he was off down the slope and moving faster and faster until he hit the water with a swish. What fun! I couldn't imagine what it would be like to be so mobile, so energetic, so lively. How I envied those boys their fun. I wondered as I watched them if they knew just how lucky they were.
We'd better get out of here.
I knew that Woody was right. We had been warned many times by the elderly of the creek bank to hide ourselves when the humans were around. They had some awful stories to tell of things that had been done to woodland or creekside creatures who had dared to expose themselves. I didn't really believe the stories, but reluctantly I knew that I should pay attention to the advice of my elders. We both slipped noiselessly into the cool water and swam to the protection of an overhanging willow. We couldn't see nearly as well from there. I stretched my neck to the limit, trying to get a good look. The boys were still splashing and yelling, though the log had been abandoned now and pushed back up on the bank to keep it safe from floating downstream. Even the rope hung limp and listless in the slight breeze, forgotten and forlorn. All attention seemed to be given to the newest invention, a slide on the flat thing. Boys pushed and shoved to line up for turns. Then someone got an idea to water down the slope so that they would slide faster. They didn't have buckets, so they scooped water with their hands, and then, one after another, they tried the slide. Down they would go, speeding down the short, steep slope, and then kersplash! They would hit the creek, and soon sink beneath the foaming water, reeling and scrambling and shrieking all the while. All too soon it ended. They scrambled up the bank and hurried forward to reclaim their scattered clothes, and then they were gone, taking all of their noise, their toys, and the fun of the day with them. I heaved a big sigh. We waited until the silence of the creek bank closed in all around us. I could hear quiet stirrings as creek folk started to move cautiously about again. Soon life would return to normal. Woody was waiting for me to make the first move. I didn't feel like moving. I had some thinking to do. Yet I didn't feel like thinking either. I felt a little sad, a little let down some way. I didn't know how to explain it if Woody should ask, and I was afraid that if I didn't soon move, he would start asking. So I forced myself to stir. I would do my thinking later.
Want to play some water tag?
I normally enjoyed water tag, but right now, after watching the boys and all of the fun that they had had, water tag seemed so dull. Not right now. Maybe later. I'm kind of hungry. I think I'll go look for a snack. I slid off through the water, propelling myself with my legs. I was a good swimmer. A good swimmer for a turtle, that is. I always won the races that the fellas in my group had just for fun. I was good at water tag, too. I hardly ever was caught, and when I was I caught someone else in no time. Still, compared to the long-legged, long-armed boys, I was a nothing. I moved away from Woody, and for once he didn't follow.
When you're done eating, come on back and we'll have a game of something.
I kept on going. I wasn't sure where I was going or what I was going to do. Suddenly I wasn't hungry either.